Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a presentation titled Reflections and Aspirations for Wesak 2024. The texts are in English and Chinese. The Chinese is done using Google Translate. Now, the presentation has a total of 24 slides. The initial slides are introductory slides. The reflections and aspirations will come after the introductory slides. Now, the reflections and aspirations are actually based on 17 Dhammapada verses. For each of the Dhammapada verses, I will do the reading of the verse in English, and then after that, we will do the reflections and aspirations based on the Dhammapada verse that was read. And each of the slides for reflections and aspiration is done in the similar way. Reading of the Dhammapada verses followed by reflections and aspirations. There will be some pauses for you to look at the images of the slides and also to do some reflection in silence. So, as usual, now we will launch the PowerPoint. This is the cover slide of the presentation, Reflections and Aspirations for Wesak 24. You would have noticed that all the pictures and images pertain to the three auspicious occasions in the life of the Buddha, and that is the birth of Siddhartha Gautama, the enlightenment, and the parinibbana of the Buddha. So this Wesak is a very auspicious occasion, and very important practice is to do the reflections and aspirations. Wesak commemorates the birth, enlightenment, and parinibbana of the Buddha. And you can see all the images and pictures pertain to these three occasions. The birth of Siddhartha Gautama at Lumbini in Nepal. And then you have the enlightenment of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree at Buddha Gaya. And the third auspicious occasion is the parinibbana, the passing away of Buddha at Kushinaga, passing into parinibbana. And all these three occasions occur on the same day, Wesak day, corresponding to the full moon of the Wesak month, usually in May. Wesak 2024, Reflections and Aspirations. We are going to start the reflections and aspirations soon. And you can see also here the birth of Siddhartha Gautama, beautiful image. And then the enlightenment under the Bodhi tree and the passing into parinibbana at Kushinaga. Reflecting on these occasions is very spiritually uplifting for the mind. We shall now start the reflections and aspirations based on the Dhammapada verse. The mind is the forerunner of all things. The mind is their leader. They are created by the mind. If one speaks or acts with impure thoughts, suffering caused by them follows, as the wheel follows the hoof of the ox. Dhammapada, verse 1. Wrong view and wrong thought will lead one to dukkha. May I strive for right view and thought for sukha. The mind is the forerunner of all things. The mind is their leader. They are created by the mind. If one speaks or acts with pure thoughts, happiness caused by them follows, like one's shadow that never leaves him. Dhammapada, verse 2. When one has a right view of everything, then there will be less misery. May I be mindful to keep my thoughts, speech, and deeds pure most constantly. Hate is never conquered by hate in this world. Hatred is overcome by love. This is the eternal law. Dhammapada, verse 5. Hate can lead one to unwholesome action. May I strive to cut this mental poison. Avoid both folly and greed. Meditating earnestly, the watchful man acquires great happiness. Dhammapada, verse 27. Be mindful of the great danger of greed and delusional stupidity. May I practice charity, morality, and meditation constantly. If a man's mind is concentrated and calm, and if he has abundant both good and evil, there is no fear for him. Dhammapada, verse 39. A composed, still mind is filled with much peace and equanimity. May I practice right mindfulness and concentration ardently. The scent of flowers, incense, and jasmine cannot travel against the wind, but the fragrance of good deeds travels in all directions. Dhammapada, verse 54. Virtue is the foundation of every spiritual practice. May I be morally righteous in my quest for mental peace. That deed is not well done when, after having done it, one repents, and when weeping with tearful face, one reaps the fruit thereof. Dhammapada, verse 67. Evil deeds will bring guilt, remorse, and lots of painful dukkha. May I not be trapped by Mara and commit evil karma. Look upon the wise man who shows up faults as a revealer of treasures. It is good to know such a man. Dhammapada, verse 76. Wise ones know and point out to others the defilements of the mind. May I not mix with the fools, but the wise who teach the truth sublime. Even the gods must envy him whose senses are under control like well-trained horses, and who has put away pride and evil thoughts. Dhammapada, verse 94. Noble ones have sense restraint, right view, and they cut the ego. May I guard my sense doors and practice the noble path in life's flow. Though one man conquers 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, he who conquers himself is the greatest warrior. Dhammapada, verse 103. Right effort entails killing bad thoughts and growing good ones in the mind. May I be mindful and watching the mind to keep it wholesome and fine. Let a man strive to do good and cease to do evil. If a man is slow to do good, he easily comes to do evil. Dhammapada, verse 116. Right speech, right action, right livelihood is morality in the middle way. May what I say, act, and how I make a living not harm beings night and day. Let a well-trained horse, when touched by the whip, let a man be active. Let him throw off this load of misery by faith, goodness, concentration, understanding of the law, and wisdom. A trained mind of sattva, sila, samadhi, and panya is near enlightenment. May I walk the Noble Eightfold Path diligently, mindfully, with commitment. Those who have not led a good life and have earned no merit in their youth lie sighing for the past like worn-out bows. Dhammapada verse 156. Wise ones live virtuously with much merit, filling the mind with joy and peace. May I shun a life of vice, lest I have a mind of sorrow and disease. Let a man follow the path of righteousness and not the path of evil. The righteous man is happy both in this world and the next. Dhammapada verse 167. Moral conduct must be practiced to have true peace internally. May I always uphold my moral precepts very mindfully. Cease to do evil, do good. Cleanse your own heart. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Dhammapada verse 183. Wrongful actions of the mind, speech, and body lead to dukkha. May I be pure in the mind, speech, and body to have sukha. There is no fire like greed, and no ill fortune like hatred. There is no sorrow like this bodily existence. There is no happiness like nirvana. Dhammapada verse 202. Greed, hate, and delusion are the root cause of sorrow or dukkha. May I eradicate the defilements and attain nibbana. Let a man overcome hatred by kindness, evil by goodness, greed by generosity, and lies by telling the truth. Dhammapada verse 223. Kindness, virtue, giving, and truthfulness are spiritually lofty. May I practice the spiritual qualities and cross samsara's sea. So we have finished the 17 reflections and aspirations based on the Dhammapada verses. You can on your own do these reflections and aspirations as often as you can. They are very, very good for the mind to attain peace, calm, wisdom, kindness, and so on. Now, even though Wesak may be a few days away, as I'm doing the recording now, right? Happy Wesak to all of you. As you can see, Wesak commemorates the birth of Siddhartha, the enlightenment of Buddha, and the Parinibbana. And you must do meaningful practices during Wesak, like these reflections and aspirations, and not just be caught up by mere rituals that you do once a year. That is not a true Dhamma practice. So let us now move on to the next slide, which is just information or some motivational words for Dhamma practice. Now, this is a very good piece of writing, guiding us through darkness into the Dhamma's light. May compassion and peace in our hearts always dwell. On this Wesak day, may all beings be well. This is a poetic verse, to make the aspiration that your heart will be filled with compassion and peace. And we have this wish on this Wesak day, on the Wesak day, and may all beings be well. So once again, in advance, happy Wesak day. Now let us go on to slide number 23, coming to the end of this presentation. Now, this actually is a slide that shows the celebration of Wesak in Persatuan Buddhist Hilepera throughout the years. And you can see I have taken from previous years. Some of you can recognize yourselves. And of course, during Wesak Day, we have this very, very meaningful activity of bathing the baby Siddhartha. But it is important to understand, rather than just carrying out as a ritual without any understanding at all. Of course, we have the Buddha Puja services, both in Pali and English. No, sorry, in Pali and Chinese, right? The Pali readings usually have translations, right? And we have the other activities during Wesak Day, offerings to the Buddha, and then the Wesak party for the children of Sunday school, and then preschool students, and then also all the children who come. So that is very joyous for the children to have the Wesak party. And then, of course, usually they would have the sale of some Buddhist items, like your pendants or CDs or VCDs or DVDs. So this is, and then there is these offerings of lights. But we must understand also, and not just resort to superstitions, that you reflect on the symbolic meaning of offering lights, you see. Light, as you know, symbolizes enlightenment. So we should actually, contemplate on the enlightenment of the Buddha, how he has ended suffering and has become enlightened. So when you do the offering of the lights, like you can see one of the pictures here, you too can make the aspirations. right? So this is for you to reflect on the things you can do during Vesak, Puja, bathing of the baby Siddhartha with understanding, right? Just as you know, physically pour water over the image or the statue of the baby Siddhartha, or like, cleaning the body, but then you made the aspiration that we have to clean the mind, even more important, to clean the mind of the defilements. That is the symbolic meaning, you see, right? So that is this. And then you have also the offerings of the various items like light, flowers, incense, and then water, fruits. All these actually have the meanings, and the meanings are displayed on the notice boards, and you can reflect as you do the offering. So then Visa takes a very, very meaningful aspect, right? So now that is this 23. Now we come to the end slide. Is to wish you, all of you, happy Visa. We can wish everybody Visa any time of the Visa month actually. So may the blessings of the Triple Gem be always upon you and your family, the Triple Gem of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So now we have come to the end of this presentation titled Reflections and Aspirations for Visa 2024. That is the most important aspect, right? To reflect and then make the aspirations. So before we say sadhu 3 times, so let us fold our before we fold our palms to say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma and all those who have been following this presentation, right? And also at the same time to do reflections and aspirations for Wesak 2024. So now let us fold our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all of you brothers and sisters in the Dhamma and all who have been following this presentation, may you all be well, happy, peaceful, and may you always strive on diligently in the Noble Eightfold Path. Happy Visa to all of you. Take care.